Hello, everybody. This is Mr. Dean back again with the top 30 greatest checkmates of all time, or at least my top 30 favorite checkmates of all time. This is number 25 on the list, and this is quite a game. This is a game I played with Mr. Terry Meeks in 2020. Terry was one of our Learning Through Games teachers for a while, and we had both beaten each other several times. But this game definitely belonged to me, and this is going to be a very quick game, only about 9 or 10 moves. So here's Mr. Terry, also here with his grandmother. You can see he definitely cares for his grandmother here. And let's go ahead and get into the game. Now, I was playing the black pieces. Terry played pawn e4. I played pawn e5. And then knight to f3. And I played knight c6. Now here Terry played the Scotch opening. Great way to open up the center, pawn to d4. We had played this opening against each other. Mainly I was black, but we had played the same opening several times. And one thing a lot of beginners do in this position, a lot of my students, they protect the pawn with the d by playing pawn to d6. And that can make sense at first because you think, oh, well, I'm guarding the pawn. But that's a big mistake because if you do that, white takes. And can you pause the video and guess the best move for white here? Go ahead and pause it. Okay. If you said queen takes queen, you were correct. Because after that move, white will either win a pawn, like this, or black will lose castling. And white can do developing moves like that, threatening pieces or pawns of blacks, and black has to kind of move his king around sometime. So I knew not to do that, and I played what I think the best move in the position is pawn takes d4. Terry took back, and it's also not good to take this knight because the queen comes out with tons of power. You don't want that. Queen to f6 is the move I played. Now I know you might say, Mr. Dean, why are you moving out the queen early? You always say not to move out the queen. Well, that's true, but this has a purpose. Coming out, it double threatens the d4 knight, and it's also a move that's kind of been studied by grandmasters and known as a good move. So if you study some opening books and a grandmaster says that's a pretty good move, he probably gives his reasoning, then you can play an early queen out in those situations. So after that, Terry went ahead and played knight takes knight, and I could have taken the knight back, but I did a little bit of a tricky move, bishop to c5, threatening checkmate. Now, I know you think I'm going to get checkmate on this square. Well, not right now. Mr. Terry, of course, saw that and played queen to f3, blocking the checkmate. That was kind of a little bit of a surprising move to me because I had been in this position before and other people had played queen to d2 or queen to e2. But queen f3 I thought was pretty good. Now, I could have taken the queen, doubled pawns, but I thought, well, that could give him an open file. So I wasn't sure exactly what to do, and I didn't have a lot of time because we were playing a quick game. So I went ahead and played pawn takes c6, opening up my bishop, and Mr. Terry played bishop to c4. So I thought for a bit and said, okay, I don't want to move this knight because then he could take and double my pawns. I don't want to move this knight yet. I like to castle queen side, so let's go ahead and move the bishop to d7. And Mr. Terry played knight to c3, and then I castled. Now, this is an interesting position, and the game's about to end, actually. But he has a lot of interesting moves here. For example, he could, I believe, just take this pawn. It's a little poisonous, and I wasn't sure if it would be great for me or not, but that's interesting to look at. He could also have traded queens. I take back, and then temporarily win a pawn. But I think I have some compensation. I can bring a knight here and double power on this. So I thought a lot about that, but little did I know that Terry was going to play a pretty bad move here. I was so surprised when he played this, because usually he plays some great moves in a lot of games. But here he played, believe it or not, queen h5. Now, go ahead and pause the video and let's see if you can find the best move here, and maybe the best couple of moves, because it's checkmate in 2 moves. Okay, if you said queen takes f2, you were correct. Queen takes f2, then he goes here, and you see the double checkmate. Pause the video if you need to see it. All right, if you said bishop g4, double checkmate, you were correct. But there's one interesting thing here. When I saw the move, Terry moved over and I was about to play bishop checkmate, he reached out and blocked the checkmate and tipped his king over instead. And I said, no, I was checkmating. And he said, no, I resigned. And I said, no, I checkmated. And he was kind of still blocking my bishop from coming here with his hand. And we were kind of fighting over it, and people were watching. So it was, who thinks it would be kind of embarrassing? But I still think I got the checkmate before the king tipped over, because he was tipping it, and I got my bishop there as the king was falling, but it had not hit the ground yet. So I think the checkmate happened, but he'll say he resigned. But there's no video of the event, so we can't prove it. Anyway, that is number 25 on the list. It is just a crazy game I had. I never had a game like that since then, and boy, was it quite a game. So we'll see you soon for number 24.